thank you for joining us on behalf of the Sephardic Certificate, on behalf of Reconectar and Genie Milgrom, and, well, our other genealogists here today, Georgina Garza, and on behalf of the Jewish Unity Through Diversity Institute, and on behalf of us in general. I don't know, we just keep going with people. So thank you all for joining us. We're very excited to have you here today, and we're very excited to be part of this community, whether you're watching us live or recorded. So just a little bit of information. Your microphones and cameras are off. If you have questions or comments, I will be monitoring the chat and the Q&A throughout. That doesn't mean I'm going to interrupt in the middle, but just know I am watching it. So when it's time for Q&A, please make sure your comments and questions are there. It'll make it easier to make it smooth. So as you have questions or comments, I already see there are some, so that's great. Thank you. I want to introduce our speakers today because that's who we're here to hear. So first we have Genie Milgrom, who has authored several books, including My 15 Grandmothers. She is a global speaker on the topic of the Jews of the Inquisition that remained in Spain in hiding. She's a board member and past president of several crypto-Jewish research centers as well. And Genie has been awarded several awards for her research. Her most recent research is, I think it's your most recent, is through the Pope and through the Vatican. So we really appreciate.
I'm trying. That's I'm there, but it's not finished.
No, nothing's finished. It's all a work in progress.
Ongoing.
But we will see some of the fruits of Genie's labor put up in a few minutes. And our second specialist here today is originally from Monterrey, Nuevo León. Her name is Georgina Garza de Leon. And she originally comes from the original crypto-Jewish family who arrived at Nuevo Reino. I'm very bad at pronunciation. I apologize. De Leon. She's the descendant of Luis de Carvajal de la Cueza. And I'm not going to say the rest of the names. I will let you introduce yourselves in the names because I will butcher them. And as well as many other crypto-Jews fleeing the Inquisition. She has a certificate as a genealogist and has helped many with the Spanish law of return. Both of these specialists are on our panel of advisors for the Certificate of Sephardic Ancestry. So I just want to point you, for those who are unfamiliar with it, I want to make sure that you at least know the website. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen, hopefully. Sorry. And here we go. This is our website. We encourage you to connect to your Sephardic roots through this certificate program. I want to make sure you understand it is not a legal document. It is not a halakhic document. So we're not certifying you as Jewish. That has to go through a Jewish court. We are reviewing your genealogy and verifying that it connects to a Sephardic tree. That helps us to connect to each other and to connect to the Jewish world at large. And hopefully it'll help us to learn from each other and to grow through each other. And also we do programs like this, and we hope you continue to participate, and make sure you check on YouTube some of our past programs. So just to give you an idea of how this works, you go to this website, Sephardic, and obviously I will send the link in the follow-up, sephardiccertificate.com. Our steps are, you first register. Register means basically payment. Now, if I want to make sure you understand that if you are not certified, we will refund the payment. We just need to make sure that people are serious when you're doing it, and therefore we do ask for the payment up front. Once we receive the payment, you will receive a questionnaire to complete. The questionnaire will include a request for at least 5 generations of your family tree, and that needs to connect at some point back there to a known Sephardic tree, which is where our specialists come in because they're very familiar with it and they can usually easily find it. And if not, they have to do a little research to connect it. But as long as yours is connected, they usually validate it, and they'll explain a little more how that works. We have resources through the website and through Genie's website and through some others, which Georgina and Genie will be talking about shortly. Once you have completed the questionnaire and you have all your documents, including your birth certificate and your parents' birth certificates, you submit the questionnaire. It is reviewed, and then hopefully you will receive your certification. So these are going to be replaced with this current video. But that's basically simple, straightforward how it goes. So now, not so simple and straightforward, we're going to hear a little bit from Georgina and Genie, their journey, and then how you can also do your journey. So I'm going to
interject something here.
Yeah.
Before we get started, we do not use DNA test results in any way, shape, or form to connect to this, unless that DNA result is a DNA result of one of your parents or something like this that is a practicing Sephardic Jew in a community, and maybe you're not, and maybe you're estranged from them, or whatever it is. But that would be the only time that we would take DNA into consideration.
Thank you for pointing that out. Now, Georgina, you want to tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yes, good morning, or good afternoon for many of you, 1 hour ahead or 1 hour prior. I'm Georgina Garza de Leon. Many of you know me as Esther Garza de Leon. I come from Monterrey, Nuevo León. I was born there, but my family is from little towns around Nuevo León. I come from the originally 13 families. Surnames that come around often in our ancestry is Garza, Treviño, Farias, González, Hidalgo, Chapa, Guajardo, Canto, Lozano, Lobo, Rodriguez, Montemayor, Elizondo. So later I'll type it and maybe we can add it in somewhere. But this is people that come from crypto Jewish in Nuevo León. Funny story. I found out that I had Sephardic ancestry when I was early in my 20s, when I was 19, 20. And that was because my brother resembled someone that was a practicing Jew in Nuevo León. And that practicing Jew was my mother's cousin. So that's how we find out. My brother and I, we started researching, and I ended up in Spain back in 2009 to get a master's in culture and language because I wanted to know more about our ancestry. And they kept saying, go to a Catholic church. They have all the records. But then they say something, a keyword. They said, go to Barcelona. So later, in 2014, they announced the law of return from Spain. And I was very interested, and that's how I became a genealogist, because I didn't know anything how to connect these surnames to a genealogy. We send them a tree without the partidas, the birth certificates, the baptism records. And then, so I became a genealogist. So I want to show you how you can start your journey by, first of all, how to navigate the website. So I'm going to share my screen. Second. And so first, you go to a search engine. It could be Google, it could be Yahoo, any of those engines, and you're gonna type SephardicCertificate.com. You can also put http://SephardicCertificate.com. That will take you to this beautiful website, Jewish Unity Through Diversity. And Drora already spoke about how you can apply. This is by getting registered and then using Dr. Milgrom's research that she has put together for us. You can also go to her website, GenieMilgrom.com, and you can do the same research. She showed these videos. We're going to replace them with this video. But again, let's go to the top of the website, and you're going to see on the very top on the left side, it says Certificate of Ancestry. You're going to hover on top of that title, and you're gonna see a scroll down a menu, and we're gonna go to Genie Milgrom Ancestral Database. Once there, that's where you start your journey. You can, like I did, you write all the surnames that is in your family, and you can do ancestral search, and you can do it by all fields, and you can enter name, last name, and also year. Jenny mentioned before that do not limit your search, do not put an exact year, you can just leave it blank. But when you do ancestral search, where it says all fields, you can either put first name, last name, allies, year, origin, resident. It has a whole drop-down list that you can use. There's also records. So for example, I started with letter A, Alvarez, that's a well-known surname in Latin America. And when I went to search, as you can see, I didn't put a date from or date to. So it gives me more options. So you see that in this website, we have 31 spreadsheets for Alvarez, and that means 354 records found. And you see in Spain, Canary Islands, we have 2 records listed, Spain, Sevilla, Autos de Fe, 1 record. So we have a lot of records where Jenny, Dr. Milgrom is gonna be talking about. The Netherlands, 9 records. And if you look down, you see genealogy, Genie Milgrom's research, you see 6 records. So I just picked one, Spain, Canary Island, and Jenny's gonna talk about those records in her presentation. And you can see that you're gonna find the first name, last name, origin, residence, comments, and reference. This is very important, the reference. So that means, yeah, Alvarez shows 2 findings that it has Sephardic ancestry. Now look at info, 19 viajes a Indias. It has 41 records. We have plenty of records to look through. And so you see with A, we can do alphabetical name search too. So let's say you don't want to do ancestral search, but you want to look more at all the surnames that starts with an A, because you cannot remember one of your surnames. And so you can press A, and it will give you a drop-down list of all the surnames with that starts with letter A. We have 8 going. And then we can look at letter M, Machado. That's a surname that we find a lot in South America.
Can I interrupt you 1 second? Because I'm not going to go back to this.
Okay, sorry. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. So each one of these is a reference where the name was shown as being a crypto-Jewish or a Jewish name. If you find, when you look at this search, that you see like Machado, you see Machado 10, 11 times, the more times that you see Machado or Alvarez or whatever, if you see it once, okay, it was one reference in a Jewish reference. But if you see it like this is an excellent example, Georgina. This is one of those hefty kind of Jewish surnames, crypto-Jewish or Jewish surnames. So it's important that you not only focus on the information given, but when you see this, it should say, oh my gosh, because I put Machado in with each different reference. So Machado is like, I had never focused on Machado, but I'm looking at it now. So it's a wow. So I just wanted to, sorry, Georgina.
Oh, that's fine. So the more you see, that means the more records you can find, and that's what we need. That's what you need to start your journey. Ramirez, you see Ramirez is everywhere. It fills the whole page with the surname Ramirez. You're gonna find Ramirez with S, and you're gonna find Ramirez with Z. S, usually they come from Portugal. Z is from Spain. That's what I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong. We went to the letter P. We have Padilla, a lot of Padillas. Padron, we have one name there, Padua. And then with the Z, Zamora, a lot of people have this surname, Zamora. And you find that not only the town, but also the surname. And then here, besides looking at the alphabet and besides looking at the search, you can also look at the archives at on the bottom of the page, and it will take you to another page. For example, this one, World Inquisition Archive Repositories Worldwide. And you can press on that one, and Jenny had put something that she's going to be talking about, all her research and places that you can be researching, libraries, and she also shares links. And I'll show, once you get your certificate, you can get that document with links and all those things. You can also go to Spain Old Archives. And again, Jenny has put a very nice document with all the information. And then at the end, she will share these links where you can actually go to these libraries or governments or places. They have it in French, Italian, they have it in all languages, where you can do your own research and find those documents. Do you have any
Excellent.
questions?
Great.
Well, we're gonna wait for the end for the questions, but please, as you have the questions, put them in the chat or put them in the Q&A and I'll monitor. We want to make sure to have the information first. So Jeannie, tell us a bit about your story and then you're part of this.
Great. I prefer if you would pull up my, if you would manage my PowerPoint, is that okay?
Yeah, I'll pull it up while you're
Okay,
talking
great.
a bit.
So I was born in Havana, Cuba, Roman Catholic, and I always felt out of sorts with who I was as a person. So it took me a while, but by the time I turned, similar to Georgina, 20s, early 20s, I decided, I had no idea that I came from one of these families. I just felt inside that I needed to be Jewish. And I made a formal conversion I am a practicing Orthodox Jew. I decided to go the traditional route for many, many reasons. But basically I returned over 35 years ago, and I have been practicing Judaism since. However, a few years after I converted, I found evidence in my family that pointed back to a crypto-Jewish background. In my case, it was complex. And one of the reasons that I went into making this available for everyone and anyone and that wants to see it, and all of this work and all of these spreadsheets, is so that people could find their ancestry without spending 10, 12 years like mine took, over a decade, close to 12 years. And I was able to locate a direct maternal lineage going back to 1405, pre-Inquisition, Spain and Portugal. I wish I had had these documents that I have put up to share with everyone back then. But I think that that if you go away with nothing from this today, it is that Georgina and I both have these backgrounds. And when people say things like, oh, it's impossible, they told me the church burned down or the museum burned down, or things burn down, but there's usually a couple of copies in each country. So we're not so unique. Maybe a direct maternal lineage like mine is a bit more unique, but there's a lot of us running around that have found our lineages, and we're doing this to be able to help you to find yours. So let's get going.
It's not opening, unfortunately, right now, of course.
I think I have it here. So if you want, I can do it
Yeah,
here.
you can either resend it to me or. but for
No,
some
that's
reason
okay.
not-
Let's see. All righty. So something that I
We don't
think
see
is,
it.
you don't see it? Oh,
I can go ahead and share it. Let me go ahead
Thank
and.
you.
Yes.
Mine's just not opening for some reason.
thank you, Georgina. Then I'll just ask you to turn the pages. Sorry about that.
No
So I think what is important to note is that finding a crypto-Jewish lineage is about putting together a lot of little pieces, like a big puzzle. In other words, you can find these ancestors, but to the naked eye, it's going to look like you did a regular genealogy search. It's going to look like Like anybody could look at it and they wouldn't realize that they're looking at a crypto-Jewish background. So all of what Georgina gave you was the straightforward, look up your name, move on. However, these collections that we're going to talk about now are the little pieces that go together. Georgina, you want to share it as a slideshow?
I don't think I'm able. My computer doesn't.
There you go.
Do you want to share it as?
Here, there you go. Is that right?
Sorry, guys,
Yeah.
for this. Okay, rule of thumb, keep going west. Can everybody see this now?
Yeah, everybody should be able to.
Okay, great. When Georgina showed you the list of documents for Alvarez or a particular name, they are already in an order that they are going west. Why is this? Even though some people went to Italy and some people after the Inquisition or during the Inquisition, they went to, obviously, to France and to Italy, the rule of thumb is that they mostly went from east to west. So the order that they were in, that when you get these orders, you'll see first a hit, let's say in Mallorca, then maybe in Madrid, then maybe in Lisbon, and then maybe they went up to Holland, and from Holland they went to Curacao, and then they went to Recife, Brazil. But you're always moving west. So it's important to understand that what you're looking at is going west, because we're not just we're trying to trace the diasporas, because mostly we're working from people that were from the New World or the Americas. Next. Okay, so this is the list of the resources that are available. And again, you have to piece everything together. The list of all the archives in Spain. What do they contain? What time are they open? Their website addresses. If the information is no longer valid, then you can Google it. Web links and addresses for every archive. Inquisition judgments from the Covija region in Portugal. So all those Inquisition judgments are there with people, the actual numbers of the judgment. Inquisition repositories around the world. For example, Notre Dame University, Catholic University, contains the most important repository of Inquisition documents from around the world. List of crimes during the Inquisition. This is little pieces that you put together, and the crimes is important because crimes are things like pasting a picture of Mary or Jesus on the bottom of your shoe and walking on it. Eating, let's say not eating pork, cleaning your house on the Sabbath, wearing a new clean shirt on the Sabbath. So this is kind of like putting it all together. So what are Inquisition transcripts? I've written all about that. In there is a crypto-Jewish genealogy primer, a list of all the university archives in Spain, Jewish occupations. Okay, Jewish occupations are super important. When you find that your family were goldsmiths, or they were silversmiths, or they were shoemakers, these particular trades go through families for generations. And when you run out and you hit brick walls, I have done like the IRS, I follow the money. So in my case, I follow the occupations. And interestingly enough, I have a whole section of my own genealogy called shoemakers. They were shoemakers, they were furriers, they were things like this. And in my family, in Spain, the family that lives in Spain, they're still not shoemakers, but they sell shoes all over Spain. They have a really big, let's say, chain of shoes in Spain. And these people are super Catholic. I don't talk too much about this. They know that what I do, they know who I am. But we don't get into it, because one day I'd like to say to them, hey, did you know that this comes back from 1454? So that occupation is super important. So Jewish occupations in the Portuguese records, web links to Inquisition archives, taxes paid on Jewish heads is how I came about to find my own lineage in Fermosella, a little village in Spain. There was nothing on the internet. The rabbis in Israel who I wanted to give my return to say that I was Jewish, told me that I needed to find that the village had a Jewish history. I had already done my genealogy, and I couldn't find any Jewish history until I found this one document that stated that from like 1461 to 1484, the government had collected taxes because of the amount of Jews. So it's little pieces of evidence. That one tax thing is what brought me back to my lineage. Next. Archives around the world that contain Inquisition documents. That's different from the repositories that I spoke about before. Inquisition documents are the actual physical that you can open up and you can look at. Abbreviations used in the Curacao records and graves, archives and parishes in Puerto Rico, Catholic parishes in Cuba, the Rosh Pinas Seminary in Porto, all of the names that were there, the English occupations in the Zamora region, Viaje a Indias laws enacted, and lists of the sources, all of the sources that are cited. This is ongoing, by the way. There, I believe I have 190 or more sources, and I have waiting to upload. I just, have to have a lot. I have waiting to upload about another 20 or 30 spreadsheets. Next. Okay, so Georgina had showed you this before, but I just want you to see it again. The archive, like, it goes in order. It's literally 1,600 of them. And you see like this Archivo Diocesano in Alcalá de Henares and the website, and it tells you what is in it, the collection, what years it's good. And this is from A to Z in Spain. Next. Okay, these are the ones I spoke before that were sentenced in Covilla. Why is this important? If you look at the second line, that is the number of the Inquisition process. So if you go into the website of, so again, you have to piece it together. This is not something that is going to happen overnight. I did it along with my genealogist because otherwise it would have been triple more expensive. But so that's the number. So you go to where the Portuguese in Torre do Tombo, you go online, they're all online. And you put in this number and you find that specific exact record. So you have all the prime sources. Next. So this is how it looks, the taxes paid on Jewish heads. Maravedi was the coin that was used at the time, like you call euro or peso or whatever, Maravedi. And you can see in this one town, Agreda, how much was paid for every Jewish head. It's impossible. Impossible. I have tried with historians for years, just saving you the trouble if you get curious. Impossible to find out how many Jews were in the village, depending on the amount of maravedis, because this 1,000 maravedis is paid for, there's a basic number, paid for a male Jew man over 20. Doesn't count the kids, doesn't count the women. But if you own a farm, it goes up like another 200 maravedis. If you own chickens, it goes up to 1,500. If you own whatever, this is the base price. So it's almost impossible. Plus, there were many periods in between all of these that it wasn't maravedi, the coin, gold was used. And there were many times that there was inflation and deflation of gold and maravedis. So I feel really lucky that we have this at least, because if somebody gets back to the town of Agreda and they can't find a Jew, well, you know what? There's an official document saying that they were, and at least here you know that they were there from 1484 through 1491. So these are very important lists on the taxes. Next. Okay, archives in Puerto Rico. There's a whole document where you can just go in here, and depending on the area that you live, you can find it. I'm trying to really quick show you just the wealth of information that I've made available here for everybody to work from. Next. Okay, these documents are on my website, geniemilgrom.com, not on the website of the Certificate of Ancestry, because I had digitized this from the National Library of Israel, and I wasn't allowed to share it with, I was only able to use it myself. So anyway, so these are thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of every single document that was available in Spain before 1492. So when Israel became a state in 1948, it sent out questionnaires and surveys to every single country in the world and said, we're just starting. Could you please let us know what is in your archives about Jews? And every single country responded, and those are at the National Library of Israel or on their website. But when I got to Israel, Spain, Portugal, and the New World had not been digitized, and it wasn't on their agenda to do it. So you know what? I did it. And you can read them all. It's free to read. It's fascinating. Next. Okay, the Excel data sheets that are backing up your searches that Georgina showed you, Inquisition, you can go in there and you can see them, but the Inquisition victims from Cartagena, Colombia, from the Canary Islands, my own personal research, Nuevo Reino de León colonizers, Curacao, Jewish community data, and on and on and on. It contains aliases, it contains genealogies, it ties people into other people. So all of the Inquisition victims of Sevilla, every single Inquisition victim in Mexico, and it has the name of the Inquisition document, so you can go and find the document yourself. It just has these are reference points. Next. Okay, Jamaican Jewish names on the gravestones. Before they put them into a book, I went over there, I went to the graves, I copied the graves, I took pictures of the graves, and then I added in, once they did the books on this, there are books on this. The second one, a fellow researcher, Eugenio Alonso, he gave me the name of all the Cuban Jews and crypto Jews of the Caribbean. I have people like Georgina, other people that give me their lists to be able to add into the searches. So you can see here, the Jews of Galicia, there's data, the Jewish community of Coro, Venezuela, which was super important, the Jewish community of Barcelona, Venezuela. At one point they were in Coro, another point they were in Barcelona, way back. Braganza, Marrakesh. I went on holiday to Morocco, and of course everybody's, in the markets, and I'm taking pictures of the graves, but it is what it is. And so that's why you see here Casablanca, because the diaspora went from Spain over to Morocco. And generally I will go someplace and I'll pay no attention to what people are talking about or the tour guide, and I'll just be taking pictures. So next. I'm trying to cover a lot of stuff here, guys, so bear with me if I'm going really fast. So here's the Mexican Inquisition data, and in there you have the number of the process, and it tells you where the person originated, and there's a lot of information, crazy information. This was compiled by my colleague in Mexico many years ago, Doctora, Alicia Goshman. Alicia Goshman is still very active in Mexico, and she had a book and she compiled all this data. Next. Okay, this is every single marriage in Amsterdam. And in the Sephardic community, after they left Portugal and they went to Amsterdam, so you have the name of the husband, the wife, the relatives, the aliases, and obviously I always put where is the reference, so you can look up what was their name before, their crypto-Jewish name, their name before, and their name after, because this is a matter of following all of these aliases and all of these names. Next. All right, Viaje a India. Viaje a Indias, we've spoken about before. So these were the ship manifests of every single ship that left Spain to a Spanish colony. So it would cover everybody on any ship going from Spain to Manila, which was a Spanish colony, for example, down to Lima, down to Mexico, anything that was a Spanish colony, Cartagena. Now, these are not necessarily Jews. Jews were not, crypto Jews or Jews were not allowed to be on these ships. However, they're chock full of Jews. But the reason that there's over 12,000 names. I've only been able to upload 5,000 or 6,000. I do this all the time. I was going to look at it, but it's to the left of me is, pages and pages and pages that I upload this. Why is this important? Let's say that you live in Peru and your last name is number 3 over here is Juarez. Juarez with a J or Juarez with an X. And you have been able to go through family search or any of these others. You've been able to take your family all the way till the last relative, but you can't hook up. It's like the missing link. You can't hook up to Spain or Portugal. You don't know what to do. It's like, oh my God, I hit a brick wall. Well, in this list, you will see that there were Juarez that came to Peru and they were from Sevilla. So you have a clue of where to go and search on the other side, because this is literally the missing link. Next. Okay, this is the list of all the names and bibliographies. This is where earlier we saw Machado de Peralta. And the more that you find, then the more, this is Alicia Goshman de Bacal, who did a lot of this she did a lot of this work from Mexico. So the more times you see the name, the more references, the more accurate it is that it is a crypto-Jewish name. Next. This is what the Certificate of Sephardic Ancestry looks like. This is what you receive after you apply for it. And it's really beautiful. It's available in Spanish and English, and I'm not sure if I misspelled Sephardic.
Yeah, you misspelled Sephardic. That's okay. But
yeah, I misspelled Sephardic, which really is like, oh, shame on me. But this is very beautiful, and we've given out a few hundred of them, and it's really something that people love. Next. Okay, these are my books that are available on Amazon, my 15 grandmothers. And I coined the phrase, the 15 grandmothers, because at the 15th grandmother I found, which her name was Ramirez, by the way. There were pages and pages of Ramirez. It's a strong crypto-Jewish name. So I didn't want to break the whole 15 grandmothers going, but it's really 22. And now in January, I produced a movie called Between the Stone and the Flower, covering my journey completely right now. And it's been shown in film festivals only. So if you're anywhere near New York on July the 1st at 7 p.m., Center of Jewish History, that's the next one. But it's got its own Facebook page. And on the Facebook page, I list, next we're heading to Buenos Aires and Montevideo. We're going to Panama. We're going to Spain. So just keep in tune with this. Next. I believe that's it.
so, I know, now everybody take a breath. I have to take a breath listening to the two of them. But so thank you both, first of all. That was a lot of information. I think everybody has to start thinking about it. I want you all, hopefully, this is going to get you excited and show you that there is where to start. There is the first step, the second step, the third step. And to see for your own journey or for the certificate or for whatever it is that you want to connect to your heritage, know that there is a way through these different ones. So I encourage you to put in some questions here now, and of course, follow up with us afterwards. So our first question is, and I'm going to butcher this name too, I'm sorry. I really have to work on my Spanish. Do you have any documents from Zacatecas, Mexico?
Georgina.
So like Jenny was saying about the people traveling from one side to another side. So you're gonna find you say east to west, correct, Jenny? Well, the same thing with Mexico. They came through Veracruz, then they went down to Mexico City, and then they went to Zacatecas, and from Zacatecas they went up north. Why they did that? They were trying to run away from the Inquisition. So the closer they were to the north with the Native Americans, they thought the Inquisition wasn't going to follow them. So what you can do is trace back with the Zacateca documents. You can start with Veracruz documents, then Mexico City, and then if you cannot find anything in Zacatecas, most probably all those documents went up to Nuevo León, Coahuila, Tamaulipas. And unfortunately, we don't have any documents, that many documents in New Mexico because of the Pueblo Revolt. They were lost, but Nuevo León has plenty of documents that they can search. You can also look at the surnames, and that can help you trace back or trace forward. And you got to understand, also, you can search in Venezuela. People came from Venezuela to Zacatecas. They came from Colombia, not just from Mexico, but they also came from all those places up north because they were trying to run away from the Inquisition, and also because of the mines, the gold mines that Zacatecas had, a lot of opportunities. But you can do those search. Yes.
So follow-up, I think, on that one is, I'm from a New Mexico family. I have a big tree, but for some ancestors, there are not enough solid records. So do any of these databases include family documents and records? And it says, as Georgina just mentioned, the Puebla revolt record problem. Where would you find the actual documents?
So you may find some of them I would definitely look at the names in Viajes a Indias because it tells you where they went. And I would, in that particular database, I would also take a really close look at the database of the Mexican Inquisition. They're all listed. Now, if they didn't get caught, then that's a little bit harder, but you may want to check from these databases here, those two in particular. Georgina?
So again, like you mentioned, Jenny, if they got caught, there will be records that went down to Mexico City, and so you will have an extra set, or you will have the records there. But if they didn't get caught, then the records, either we lost them because of the Pueblo Revolt, or you can trace back again. You can trace back to Nuevo León and then Zacatecas. So again, we were trying to go up. The farther the northern we went, we were trying to just get away from the Inquisition. And so that means I do have relatives that went to New Mexico, but I can trace them back to Nuevo León. So you want to see if you can find documents with your surname in Nuevo León, and probably you're going to find that they went up to Nuevo Mexico, New Mexico.
Okay. Another question. Have you been able to, usually we don't do specific people, but I think this is a pretty famous person, so I'm going to ask it. You can tell me if it's not. Have you been able to find the cemetery of Luis Carvajal de la Sueva or any of the first governors of Nuevo España in Mexico City?
No, we haven't found myself. Probably other people do have knowledge where these cemeteries, these people is buried. I did talk to someone that is trying to find those burials so they can do DNA. And again, we're not gonna go by DNA. We don't go by DNA, we go by genealogy, but they do want to research those burials and see and just analyze their DNA. But myself, I haven't found those burials.
For that next connection, that next question that's asking about a lot of the DNA connections from Nuevo León. I think when I got my DNA results back, I had not yet been able to find my lineage. I wrote every single one. I mean, every single person. It depend English or Spanish or whatever it was. I wrote them all. I tried not to mention too much that I was looking for a Jewish lineage. I just said we're matching. Have you been able to work on your tree? And I did get a few answers on that. I don't know, Georgina, if you have a different answer for that, but that's how I received some answer. But the minute I said I was looking for a Jewish, it just disappeared.
Yes, well, DNA can be very helpful. For example, we know that people from Nuevo León, Texas, Coahuila, Tamaulipas, even New Mexico, we come from endogamous families. That means that they didn't marry out, they marry within their communities. That doesn't mean they married their siblings, no, or first cousins. They marry out to fifth cousins, but then they needed to know each other's family. For example, when dating, they will ask, instead of asking what's your name, they will ask what's your surname. So my mom asked my dad what's your surname, and he said Garza Gonzalez, and my mom is like, oh, my mother is Gonzalez Garza, and they started calling each other primos. And so talking about DNA, all of us in this region, Texas, Nuevo León, Tamaulipas, Coahuila, and New Mexico, we look like we're second cousins or third cousins. That's called double cousins. That means we are cousins through our mother and father at the same time. So it looks like we're closer related, like we're first cousins, second cousins, or third cousins, but actually we're a little farther down. And MyHeritage has a pretty cool tool called clusters. And with clusters, you have your tree, and then just run this cluster, and you will see all these surnames that repeats themselves, and they make a big block, a big cluster. That means you're very endogamous. Your family was very endogamous, and therefore you can research those surnames, and that can help you find records and more information. You can build your tree by looking at that DNA. Not use DNA for proving anything, but it can help you find all the surnames that cluster down in the endogamy that we come from.
The endogamy point on the DNA is very important. In my family, it wasn't brother and sister, but it was first cousins. This is in Spain and Portugal. It was a small village, Fermoselle. Everybody married. My grandparents were first cousins. My daughter gets so embarrassed when I say this publicly, but the reality is that this is who we are. It's generations and generations of endogamy. So it does do a number on the DNA, mentioning DNA. It's impossible. It's important to remember. So you know how when you're driving a car and your mirror says objects in mirror appear nearer or farther than they are. So here, I found I have a cousin who's a genealogist as well, who lives in Belgium, and we match at the 15th century, but our DNA match says that we're second cousins.
Wow.
That's how, so keep that in mind. You'll be looking and it'll say second cousin, but if you're from one of these endogamous families, it might be 15 generations.
And that's an important point, why we specifically don't take the DNA, but like we said, it's a great place to start, to reach out to people.
Sure.
Somebody else here just said that he found a match to some rabbis in Meknes through a DNA. And so it's great to start talking to each other and start seeing where the actual families meet. And that's where you can actually understand, again, because DNA doesn't prove anything, but you can get through the documents, you can get through the databases that we've shown you today, and begin your search. So if somebody is just about to start their search, or somebody's like after the first step, can you each give us just one word of encouragement or one brilliant idea that they should take with them from today?
I would say that go to sleep because sometimes you get so excited when doing the search that sometimes you don't go to sleep. You keep going and going, and it is 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock, and you might find something, and then you will get frustrated. No, just spend 1 hour a day. Don't try to find everything in one night, like I have done it before. And start little by little. Why? Because you want to make sure you have the right documents. There's a lot of Maria Gonzalez, and if you find an ancestor with Maria Gonzalez that looks similar to yours, because they are in the same town, they're married with someone with the same similar name, and you just want to put it in your genealogy. No, make sure you have the right Maria, the right Jose, and that it matches the parents and the exact area where you're looking for. Because it's easy, for example, if you're doing your search and you want to find Maria Ramirez baptism records, and you see it, you get excited, and you want to plug it in, but this Maria is from a different town, like a town down or a city down or a state down, in our case in Mexico. So just make sure you do your research, and that is properly correct, and not just because you want to finish your tree.
And I have a couple of tips. Number one is that if you're following a maternal lineage, or even in any kind of lineage, and you find that your next ancestor dies and you can't go back because that ancestor died, you can always follow the tree back up via a brother or a sister of that ancestor. So don't skip that. Don't say, oh my God, I hit a brick wall. This guy died. Okay, fine. The guy died, but they generally had a lot of kids, and you can still follow up via the sister or the brother. And number two is that when you're doing Google searches, don't forget to look under Google Books. Google Books is where I go. I should go all the time, but it's where I go when I'm really stuck. So Google Books has a lot of information. It has documents that are not necessarily books. And another one is the website academia.edu. Academia.edu has dissertations, and the dissertations are super important. They're not widely easy to use, but what they do is that when they find one person that the researcher getting their PhD thinks is brilliant, like Luisa Carvajal, then what you're going to read is so intense. So always check out academia.edu. That's my tips.
Thank you. So hopefully everybody got some good first steps, and if you're way past the first step, continuous steps. Please do reach out. Please do be in touch. I will send a follow-up email with the links that we discussed today, and they're available also on the certificate website and Genie's website, and reach out. So thank you all for joining us. Please follow us on YouTube as well so that you can see some of the information we've been sending out. We just had a response from the Middle Ages. What's in a name? Because we talked about names a lot. People continued to change their names. So keep in mind what it meant when you changed your name away from a Jewish name or back to a Jewish name. There are all these things. And just quickly, this will be shown on YouTube. So you will receive a YouTube link to this program, because that was another question. So thank you all, Genie and Georgina.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Bye-bye.